नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका डिटॉक्स से सूरज नेगी में। आज का जो पॉडकास्ट है वो इंग्लिश में होगा क्योंकि आज के हमारे दोस्त अमेरिका से है नील पैट्रिक का। हे नील्स, वेलकम माय फ्रेंड।
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, Pahari black coffee which we have for you. Cheers for the detox. This black coffee is good for detox. So Neil, what brings you to India?
There were two reasons I wanted to come to India. One was the Beatles, internationally famous recording stars from England. They went to Rishikesh in 1968 to see the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and to do meditation on the Ganga River. That was something that always fascinated me about India. I was like, it must have been very interesting for them to come to India at that time. And I always was curious about India. And then in the year 2000, when I finished my degree in photography, I wanted to make a trip to India. And that particular reason was I wanted to meet the Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama?
Yes, His Holiness the 14th Dalai
The Guru Dalai Lama?
the Dalai Lama. So I made a trip to India and I found out that he was going to be teaching out in the Himalaya mountains in a place called Kaza in Spiti Valley. It was the year 2000. I came in May. I came like on the 1st of May and I stayed till I think the end of August, early September to Spiti and managed to get press access there. And I ended up photographing the Dalai Lama for about 10 days.
10 days?
Yeah, for this teaching that he was doing. It was,
So you were with Dalai Lama for 10 days?
I was indeed. And I got to meet him and shake his hand and say hello to him and so very, very kind-hearted exchange that he gave me.
Yeah.
I told you earlier at the handshake that I had.
Yeah.
When, normally you shake somebody's hand and there's that comfort zone where you shake somebody's hand
Yeah.
and then you pull away right away. But when I tried to pull away, the Dalai Lama pulled me back.
Really?
And he did this 3 or 4 times. We ended up shaking hands for about, I'm going to say it was about 15 seconds, and it seemed like an eternity at the time. And my body just went completely tingly. He's giving me all this amazing energy.
So this was the first time you were meeting Dalai Lama?
First time I met him, yes. And I told him, America loves you, Your Holiness. I was like this. And he looked me in the eyes. And I'll tell you, when you have that personal exchange with the Dalai Lama, there's some sort of transference of, it's just unbelievable energy. It was like looking into portholes of wisdom, centuries of wisdom, looking at his face.
I would like to share my experience with you. When one day I was going to Kimari, is a place in Dehradun. I just stopped for seeing the location, and I was going this way, and from the front a white car, Volvo car, it stopped nearby me, and I just searching the location in my mobile, and I just saw the car. There's Dalai Lama sitting there, and I was just sir, and I said, "Use Dalai Lama." After Corona, this is the time when you can do anything. So believe in yourself. So that experience, just changed my life. And from that day, whenever I'm going to anywhere, I'm seeing the Dalai Lama photos. So tell me that, what was that feeling inside you? Just express it when you met Dalai Lama.
It was just amazing, an amazing experience, something that I'll never forget. It was just the way he looked me in the eyes, and I told him, America loves you, Your Holiness. And he just said, as I said, we had that long handshake, and he said thank you 3 or 4 times to me and wouldn't let my hand go. And then finally let my hand go, and then off he went. So it's an experience that you'll never forget. So, and that gave me a lot of inspiration. Had just finished my degree in photography and was going to move to New York City. And then I found my jobs at the universities later that year and the following year. And I always wanted to come back to India to see him again. And then I kind of got quagmired in America. You got an apartment in New York City, everything's expensive, bills come, bills go, paychecks come, paychecks go. The next thing you know, 8 years rolled by and I hadn't been back to India. And then I just thought, this isn't good. I have to go back to India. So I started coming back to India again.
After 8 years.
Yep. And then um, I contacted security in the private office, and they granted me press access. So was able to bring my cameras into the temple in McLeod Ganj and photograph them. And then I started traveling around India. He was on a travel circuit for teaching between Ladakh and Karnataka and Bihar and other places. He also came here in 2012. He went to Dickieling and Clementown.
Yeah, in Dehradun,
And I had
2012.
I had really good access for those events. So it just kind of snowballed into me just following the Dalai Lama around in India and photographing him. So turned out to be a really life-changing experience and a very profound one, really.
So this is a type of meditation, when you're doing photography for what you like. It's type of meditation only. You believe in meditation?
Yes, Mom, in Buddhism, meditation is a very important aspect of studying Buddhism. So
So how did you get introduced to Buddhism? Like, did you study or did you attend some teachings
I attended teachings in 1999 in New York City at the Beacon Theater.
at
So
the Beacon Theater?
Beacon Theater, it's a theater on 75th and Broadway in Manhattan. So, and I managed to photograph them. They wouldn't let me bring my cameras in to there, but I would wait for them to go in and out the backstage door.
Yeah.
And one day I was standing there waiting, and of course they've got those big blue uh, barricades, the New York City police. So I was across the street, and he got out of the car.
Who?
The Dalai Lama got out of the car
In New York?
in New York, and I was across the street, and I had my 200 millimeter lens on my camera. And there he was looking right at me. It was like he just knew I was there. I don't know how he can know these things. He's very aware of his surroundings, the Dalai Lama. So he looked at me across the street, and I'm clicking away. He gave me one of these. So I have this shot. My first photograph of the Dalai Lama is actually in New York, and he gave me one of those hand salutes. So it was just amazing. And then he went into the back of the theater. So that was quite.
Must be having some funny experience with him.
He likes to tell jokes.
Yeah.
He'll be very in the middle. He'll be in the middle of a very serious teaching, and then he knows when to break the mood and get people to laugh. To cheer things up again, and then go back into the teaching again. He's very clever in that way.
He's having very good sense of humor.
Yes, he's very funny. He likes to tell jokes and he likes to laugh.
So what is your funniest experience with him? Would you like to share?
I was at the Kala Chakra in Bodh Gaya,
In Bihar, Bodh Gaya?
in Bihar, yes.
In which year?
This was 2018, I think it was. It was the last one there. I attended one there in 2011, and then this was the last one there. And I was in the room where they have the Kalachakra mandala. We were allowed to go in there. The press was allowed to go in there. And I was sitting there, and he waved me up. And I thought, oh, he must be waving someone behind me. I'm like, why is he waving me up there? And he looked at me again, and he goes, come here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went up there, and I was about this distance away, and he goes, come closer. So then I leaned over to him, and he grabbed me like this by the nose. And then, there's 50,000 people sitting out in the audience. Everybody erupted all at once in laughter because it was on the Megatron. It was on the big screen. They got their cameras. They got their live stream everywhere. So it was really, really funny. So he likes to do that, make little jokes with people like the Muslims up in Ladakh. He'll pull their beards, no, and laugh. Yeah, they've got those big beards, and he'll yank on their beard. He likes to joke and have fun with the people. So people like this. It's a very personal experience.
Yeah.
So the whole rest of the week, when I was walking around in Bodh Gaya, all the Tibetans would come up to me and they'd call me Lucky Nose. I have a pretty big nose.
Yeah,
But
show me. Yeah.
they were calling me Lucky Nose, so I thought that was really hilarious.
So your name, they call you, the monks calling you Lucky Nose because Dalai Lama just pulled it, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
So that was a very good experience.
yeah.
So
So Neil, do you know what's the meaning of Neil in India? Neil, your name is Neil Patrick?
blue color.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely right. And I think
Siraj means
Suraj means you must be knowing. Just guess what's this Suraj can be. You don't. Suraj means, sun.
sunshine.
Yeah,
Sunshine.
sun.
That's a good name for you.
Yeah,
You have
thank
a
you.
you have a sunny outlook, yes?
Yeah, thank you. Photography from your, schoolings, from your college days, and you have been teaching photography also. How do you connect with photography?
I think the important thing about photography is trying to connect with the, especially if you're like doing portraits or you're even out in the street, just shooting people, maybe photojournalistic style. It's a connection that you have. You can be very disconnected, and you can also be very connected. I think it's your choice, but I've always tried to make a connection. When I was doing street photography in New York, there's really no time to sit around and ask people, "Hey, can I take your photo?" That's more of a photojournalistic style kind of photography where you just randomly shoot in the street. But a lot of times, if I was in a more intimate setting, I would talk to people first and then ask if I could take their picture.
Right.
And you make a connection with the people. So that's a nice way
So
to,
photography means for you to make a connection with people.
right. And then when you make nice images too, people want to see those images. So,
And why photography only? Like, why you choose this as a career?
I've always liked taking pictures. The first time I ever picked up a camera, I went to Super Bowl 11 in America in Pasadena, California. My team, the Minnesota Vikings. This is like the biggest sporting event in America every year. It used to be in January, but now it's in February. They've added weeks to the season. So I was 17 years old and I borrowed a little Kodak Instamatic camera from my sister.
The real one, that real
With the films.
films. Yeah, with
Yeah,
the
with the
films.
film. So, and I brought it into the stadium and I actually shot a couple rolls of film and I still have those negatives. So, and my team got beat badly that day. It was not a good day for
So
Vikings.
this was your first experience,
First experience with the camera.
like you have been traveling the world, traveling to different culture, different things. You're doing the thing that you love at this age. I think you are right now, I think around your 60s.
I'm going to be 65 soon.
65.
Yep, just in a few short weeks.
And people, mostly in 65, they are sitting at home and they're just doing the retirement life.
Watching TV.
Yeah, and just, playing with the grandchildrens and all.
When I was very, very small, I was always interested in other countries. And I remember in sixth grade, we had to pick a country to make a project on, and I picked Ecuador.
Ecuador?
In South America.
Ecuador.
Ecuador, yes, it's next to Peru. So I don't remember how I wound up with Ecuador, why I chose that one. I think maybe we had to draw them out of a hat. It was a school project, so it just always fascinated me, the different clothes people wore, the different customs they had, the different food they ate, the different religions. I was always fascinated by that, so I always wanted to travel. So when I had mentioned earlier, when I was 19, I studied my second year at university. I transferred and had a year in London in England, and that completely changed my life after doing that because Europe is completely different than America. So just, one minute you can be in Paris, in an hour or two later you're in Brussels, in another hour or two you're in Amsterdam, which is in Holland, and then you can go to Copenhagen, and all these little countries are all right next to each other, just like the states are in America. But everything's basically the same in America from state to state other than the geography. So maybe there might be differences in points of view, but Europe is Europe really changed my attitude and really made me even want to travel more.
When I'm with my friends, they are very fascinated about America. You know, many people, they want to settle down in America, New York. They want to go to Hollywood. That make them fascinated. What do you think about America? Because you are from America.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what fascinates people. Maybe it's all the Hollywood films that they've watched through the years. So things have changed a lot in American culture since I was a young boy. So yeah, I don't know. I think America's in a really, really difficult time right now. So I'm hoping things will get better. But since, the 9/11 thing happened, they knocked the towers down.
Yeah.
Things have really changed a lot, even in this last, you know,
So you were in America at 9/11?
I was living in New York when that happened. It was absolutely terrible. It was really, really bad. It was really terrible to go through that. And a lot of people died needlessly. That was a turning point for me too, to live each and every day to the fullest extent. This is a Buddhist philosophy too. Don't waste time. Don't sit around. Move forward. Keep positive. Keep your goals in front of you. So time goes by quickly. I'm living testament to that. I'm twice your age.
Yeah.
So you got a lot to look forward to. So,
Yeah.
and I think you're maybe on the right path because you're making films.
Yeah.
So this is good.
So are you an emotional person?
I try not to be, but I probably would.
But you are emotional, During this podcast, I can feel that vibe. You are a very
So,
emotional guy, kind person, huh?
so life is short. Don't waste it. That's my biggest advice I could give anybody. So Dalai Lama has all sorts of good advice. One of them is keep calm, abiding mind.
Uh, I would like to ask that if, like, you attend the teachings of Dalai Lama when you were in like Himachal Pradesh, na? So would you like to introduce some of his teachings to us to share?
Well, his teachings, primarily, he'll pick, a lot of the times there's 17 Nalanda masters. There was a university way back when, not far from Bodh Gaya, called Nalanda. And they had all these different Indian, originally Buddhism came from India and went to Tibet and
Yeah.
then came back again. So way back when. So what Siddhartha gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, like I believe, like 500 BC.
Yeah, in Bodh
So
Gaya.
right, so that's the focal point of Bodh Gaya, is the Bodhi tree and the Mahabodhi temple. Very, very special place. So for me, Dalai Lama, the fundamental foundations of Buddhism are important, and I just mentioned, like, keep calm, abiding mind. Another very simple but profound teaching from the Dalai Lama is don't get angry, which also relates back to keep a calm, abiding mind. It's very easy now to get angry. Somebody says something you don't like, or maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic and cuts you off, honks the horn, and maybe your instant reaction is to honk back and
Yeah.
maybe even yell out yell out the window. And there's no need for any of that. If you have a good, calm, abiding mind, you just let that go by. It's
Right.
not going to affect you, and then you can keep your positive energy running. So keep focused on that. So
So you get angry sometimes?
I still get angry sometimes, but not anywhere like I used to. So yeah, I used to have a pretty bad temper when I was younger.
But
So,
now you're calm,
no, I try to stay calm.
humble.
It fluctuates.
What was that story need about Dalai Lama when he was coming to India? Would you like to share that story?
He he came, I believe, in March of '59. I think is when he snuck through the mountains. So he snuck out of the Potala, and he had to go through the mountains.
Yeah.
I think he wound up in Arunachal, right? He crossed the border in Arunachal Pradesh, right? I think that's where he came through. But yeah, the army was swarming around looking for him everywhere, and he managed to get through.
He just
Him-
vanished.
him-
The
yeah.
people told that when the army was behind him, when he was, and he goes and automatically the fog came. There was so much fog, and the army could not see him. So maybe the power of meditation and all.
Yeah, I'm sure he had some celestial guidance there to
Yeah.
get through. So it was his determination and his, rite of passage to get out of Tibet before the Chinese caught him, because surely they were going to kill him if they caught him.
Right.
So we needed the Dalai Lama to stay alive, and now here he is all these years later. I'm going to be 65 here in a few weeks, and I embody the amount of time that the Dalai Lama has been in exile from Tibet. He left in March of 59. I was born in November of 59. So all these years later, he's still here and he wants to go back to Tibet. He talks about this a lot. If you listen carefully to his teachings, he has very high hope of returning to Lhasa. So for his well-being and I fear for his safety. All Tibetans and the people who follow the Dalai Lama and respect the Dalai Lama, I fear for his safety. All Tibetans and the people who follow the Dalai Lama and respect the Dalai Lama, even non-Buddhists, there's a little bit of Buddha in everybody. You just have to find it. So it's his hope to go back to Lhasa, and if that's his wish, I hope he can go there one day, but I fear for his safety.
Yeah, his safety is major issue.
So we need to have him for another 20 some years. The prophecy is he's going to live to 113. So he's 89 now. That's 24 more years. That's a long time.
He's
So,
89.
He's 89 now. His birthday's July 6th.
July 6th.
So we got to get you your press clearance so you can bring your film crew.
So I think next we'll be meeting there only. So it's a
I hope so.
promise in Detalks that you are coming to his birthday.
I'll be there.
I will be there.
Okay.
Yes, we'll meet
Great.
there.
That'll be great.
Yeah. So Neil, you like to tell me about the young photographers, the young filmmakers who are coming. So what would be like your advice to the young photographers who are seeking their profession in this field?
You have to make a goal and then stick with it and try to accomplish that goal. So you don't have to go to school to learn photography. You can learn it on your own if you want to. It might be easier in the modern world to go to university or a tech schools to how to learn all sorts of wonderful images on the internet now that people have taken, and they're just common lay people, and that's the way it should be. You don't have to have a degree to take good photos. So it's really changed over the years. 50 years ago, you had to really have high skills to be able to figure out camera exposures and all these kinds of things to make good photographs. And now it's completely changed. Anybody can make a great photo, and I'm happy for that. People should be able to make good photos. So that's the big change, I think.
And what are your future plans?
Stay in India and stay in Nepal as much as I can. So I like these two countries immensely. So.
And do you believe in Jesus?
I do believe in Jesus. I was born a Catholic.
Okay.
And Jesus was a great prophet. So that's something that will never leave me. So I did take Buddha vows in 2012.
Now you are following Buddhism?
I follow Buddhism, but I would never renounce Jesus. There's no reason not to have two religions.
Yeah, you can have two religions.
So I asked this before I took my Buddha vows, and the Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who I took my refuge vows with, I was going to ask this question, and just as I was going to ask the question, the person next to me asked this question: Do I have to give up Jesus if I'm going to become a Buddhist? And Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave one of his laughs. He goes, No, you don't have to renounce Jesus to become Buddhist. You can do both.
So what is the process of being to Buddhism? Like, what is the process if you want to join Buddhism or if you want to follow Buddhism? Is there some specific?
For me, this is another thing that happened at a Dalai Lama teaching. If you want to hear another quick story,
Yeah, sure.
it happened actually here in Clement Town.
In Buddha temple?
Yes, when I was here 12 years ago, and I was one of a few Westerners there. For some reason, Westerners didn't go to this teaching. I think it's the way they had it listed on the internet. All the normal Sangha that would come over from McLeod Ganj didn't come because they thought it was just going to be a couple hours here one day and a couple hours here like 3 or 4 days later, and they thought, wow, that's a lot of work to come over here just for a couple short teachings. So I was at this teaching in Clement Town, and it started raining really, really hard, really heavy thunderstorm.
When he was teaching?
When he was teaching, and the rain was just pouring down, and I've got my umbrella and I've got got my Leica cameras, you know, the film cameras. They can take a beating, these cameras. You can get them wet, they're still going to work.
Yeah.
Not like digital cameras now. If you get them wet, you're in
They will
big
not-
trouble.
You will be in trouble, right?
So, and he was teaching in Tibetan with there's no translation. So I'm not really sure what he's saying. I'm just listening, and I just want to get my photos. And then this huge thunderclap went, lightning. And then he looked right at me and he goes, Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is science of mind. And I was just like a firecracker went off in my head. I was just like, this is just the most amazing thing.
Wow.
So Buddhism is a philosophy. A lot of people don't equate Buddhism to being a religion. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's a way of studying things. It's a way of observing things. So I don't view Buddhism as a religion, although a lot of people would argue that point, but I don't believe that. It's a philosophy. So.
Can you tell us what is the best thing you like about India?
The best thing I like about India, I think, is the diversity in the culture and the religious tolerance here. You have all major religions living here in harmony for the most part, right? Hindu temples will be next to Buddhist temples. You have Muslims living here. You have Christians living here.
It's very diverse. Like,
It's very diverse here, and every state in India is different, right? The culture's different, the food's different, the clothes are different.
Tasted Indian food, did you like it?
I love Indian food. I can eat dal and rice every day and be happy.
And
And
you
the
like
dal is different everywhere you go
Everywhere.
too, right?
Yeah.
No two dals are the same, are
different dals from every state.
they? So,
So you tasted
Yeah.
the Pahadi food,
yes.
really? And you are wearing a Pahadi cap, huh?
This is from Kulu. I call it the Kulu cap.
Kulu cap. Yeah.
So, yeah, Himachal's one of the interesting states. Well, they're all interesting, but I like the mountains. I like the Himalaya. The Himalaya holds a lot of power. The elements there and the water there, it has huge healing power. Yeah, people will come to Himachal like they do to Kerala too. They go to Kerala they go to spas there. They
Yeah.
need to go. They've got huge.
It's very
Tourist things now, and people go there for healing. They go to the hospitals there, and they go for massage and
the Ayurveda is very, in
Ayurvedic.
Kerala.
Yeah,
Ayurvedic.
that's the word I'm looking for. It's
Yeah.
very Ayurvedic. So the Ayurvedic medicine, I think, has huge healing power because it's natural.
Yeah.
It's not chemicals. This is the big problem in America. We have all these big pharmaceutical companies making all these chemical concoctions to try to fix people, try to heal people. And I personally don't think that it works. I think the Ayurvedic medicine is much more healing power. So the hot springs,
Yeah.
there's
the
hot springs all over in the Himalaya, and I love going to the hot springs.
So did you take bath in the hot spring?
Yes. And there's one in Manali. There's a couple of them in Manali. There's a little town called Vashisht right across the Bees River from Manali, and they have this wonderful hot spring, and it's free. It's
Yeah.
open to the public. Everybody, you can go. It opens really early in the morning, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it closes like at 9 o'clock at night, and you can
And
just go
it's-
sit in the hot springs.
It's very good for skin also. It's a
Yeah,
therapy.
it'll take all the toxins right out of your body. It's amazing.
So you like biking?
I do. I have an Enfield 500.
In India?
Yes, I do.
So where it is now?
It's up in McLeod.
Okay,
So
McLeod.
I generally just leave it up in Himachal. I might ride it over to Manali, and I've actually rode up from Manali to Leh on that road.
A solo trip?
That's a rough road, but now they got the tunnel going through there. You don't have to go up the Rotong Pass. You can go through this tunnel. I think the tunnel is only like 10 kilometers long
Yeah.
or something, right? Through the tunnel in 15 minutes, and you just save 4 or 5 hours going up and down the mountain.
Right.
So it's really going to blow Ladakh wide open. People are really going to go up there for holidays now because it's so easy to get there, right? You don't have
Right.
to spend 20 hours in a bus to get to Leh anymore. So
What is the source of energy for you?
source of energy. I think just trying to keep your mind in a positive mind frame and keep your chakras open, and positive energy will come in. So don't think negative thoughts. You have to think positive. It's too easy. I think in 21st century culture too, it's too easy to think about negative things, and especially people who are working. They have a good job. They got to go to work every day, pay bills, have responsibilities. It's easy to lose sight of what you're doing in the first place. So if you can keep a positive spin on things, it just makes things so much easier. So, and be friendly to people. There's no reason to be barking at people all the time when things go wrong, right?
So you
Be
like,
nice to people.
yeah, you like animals?
I love animals.
You animal lover?
I am an animal lover. Animals are very, very important. Very important how you treat animals.
Yeah.
Extremely important in the karma wheel. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who I mentioned earlier, who is my refuge guru, was very, very big on animals, and he would talk, you know, he would talk about things that were, I found really amazing, like ants. I remember going to a teaching one time, and I don't remember what the topic was, but he would just veer right off the topic, and he talked about ants and how they made their colonies, and how they communicated with their antennas, and how they built their nests in the ground, and
So what's
how
the most,
intricate they were. And it was, you know, that's an ant. Well, how many billions of ants are there probably in the world? So he would not step on an ant. That's another thing in Buddhism. You're not supposed to kill anything, not even a mosquito. Not to kill anything. So a lot of Tibetans and Buddhists have converted from eating meat, and now they're vegetarian. There's still people that eat meat, of course, but now they're more mindful about it. So this is good. If you don't eat animals, then there's no need to be killing them.
how do you like Dehradun, and what's the special thing about Dehradun?
Well, the first thing I noticed where we're out staying next to the Sakya Center. There's like fields in between the buildings. It's not hardcore cosmopolitan area where it's just buildings all crammed together. I noticed wheat fields and corn fields and farm fields.
It's a Rajpur Road side. It's the
And
very
then
first
when I
street.
slowly got towards the clock tower, I noticed it's more of a
It's a center.
city, and city center, right? But walking around the city too, my Wi-Fi is not on my phone, and I had an idea of where I was going, but when I went from the Rajpur Road to
Chakrata Road.
went to Chakra, there's no addresses on the buildings, and I'm like, what number is this? And so I asked somebody, oh no, that place is down. No, people were friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it here. I think it's a good place.
So you would like to come again?
I would
to
definitely come again. The Sakyas will have me again.
Yeah. So you went to any mountains in India?
I have. Yeah, in the Himachal. There's a couple. I don't remember the names of them, but they're Tibetan religious mountains. But some of them are also Hindu religious mountains. So.
Interesting.
All right, are we wrapped?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was so interesting.
I'll send the bill.
Yeah, you can send the bill. But we have a very big bill, so we'll don't need any bill. Yeah. So it was amazing, the energy when we talk about the whole process of the Buddhism, politics, about your photography. It was, I think, adventurous podcast. Don't you think?
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to interview me. It was very interesting.
Yeah, same
do.
here.
So,
So it was great here, Neal. Thank
maybe
you so
next
much.
time, because of this interview, I'll be famous.
Yeah, sure. You can
And then I will
famous.
charge you.
Yeah, then you can charge. So next time we are meeting in 90th birthday of Dalai Lama. On
Yes. July 6th.
On July 6th.
July 6th.
Okay. So let's cheers for July 6th. Detalks.